everybody, and welcome to the Theatre Pitch podcast. I'm Jem, this is Joe.
Hello.
And this is Sean.
Hello.
And this is the Theatre Pitch podcast, where we take a random online encyclopedia article and we make a theatre show out of it. Each of us pitch out individual ways of how we'd make this into a theatre show, and at the end of the podcast we smush them together and hopefully come up with a better idea and not one that's just massively incoherent like a GCSE drama piece. So this week's article is Wikipedia about. After much debate that Joe would maybe not hit the random button but hit the about button,
I definitely didn't. It's just a coincidence that the About Wikipedia button is just below the random button, and that it looks like that button's been clicked recently on my screen.
Well, either way, our article for this week is Wikipedia, the About page. Joe, let's cut to you with, do you want to give us the entertaining version of the very dry opening paragraph?
I mean, I don't see what you don't think is fun about Wikipedia is an online free content encyclopedia project that aims to create a world in which everyone can freely share the sum of all knowledge. It is supported by the Wikimedia Foundation and is based on a model of openly editable content. The name Wikipedia is a blending of the words wiki, a technology for creating websites from the Hawaiian words wiki meaning quick, and encyclopedia. Wikipedia's articles aim to provide links designed to guide the user through related content with additional information. It is written collaboratively by large anonymous volunteers who write without pay.
Without pay. Yeah. So it's a volunteer organisation. We all know what Wikipedia is. We can't be sitting here and lie about not knowing what Wikipedia is.
I mean, I know what free online encyclopedia is. I don't know this Wikipedia.
I know. It's a mystery. It's a new thing that we found this episode. Sean, you've been boasting for weeks that you've had this in the bag. And when I say weeks, because when we came up with this idea for this podcast, you were like, oh, if we get an About Wikipedia page, I know what I'm going to do with it. So how have you enjoyed your time off this week?
It's been great. I've just spent it working on another podcast.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Is that you wanting to plug it?
No. We have a plug section at the end of the podcast. Jem, do you not know how the structure works by now?
Oh my god!
Oh my goodness! Usually it's a structure with plugging with guests on. You guys aren't guests. I can't get rid of you. What?
I got Warsaw out of the championship. We got promoted in the playoffs. That's what I've done this week.
Yeah, you've posted a lot about football.
I've done. Yeah, that's no. The stuff I've posted is real football. I'm on about FIFA.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Oh, I thought he was on about Football Manager, so I was wrong.
So much football. Sean is a football this week.
If anyone's listening, Football Manager is clearly the superior product over both FIFA and PES.
As opinionated by Joe. Joe, how have you found this week's article?
It was a breeze.
You haven't prepared, have you?
Oh, I prepared.
Oh, that's terrifying.
I have prepared a one-line pitch that I will expand as I go along.
Okay. Brilliant. Okay, so, who wants to go first?
Well, I feel like as Sean has been waiting so long to do this, let's make him wait a bit longer. Jem, you go first.
Yes, I agree. I couldn't agree more. So, my pitch is for Wikipedia About was very much taking the idea of Wikipedia and the community aspect of Wikipedia and manifesting that on stage. So we all know theatre can get a little bit weird and sort of sit there in lots of things that just happen in a live sense and in a dramatic sense get locked in with the word theatre. So I'm really taking advantage of that. So I did study IT and like the history of the internet way back when I was back at school. I don't know, I must have had a really deep nerd teacher who liked to give fun facts. But the inventor of, not the inventor of the internet, but one of the people who brought the internet to the public and out of just military use, described what they wanted the internet to be was like a large garden where everybody could contribute. So everybody had their little garden space, and they'd create their little garden space, aka websites, and they could go around to other people's gardens and go, oh, I like that flower, and I'll take that flower or that piece of information and I'll put it into my garden, vice versa. And it was very much his idea of what the internet would be, was much more of a community than the dog-eat-dog world that we've created in the webosphere today. Which I very much, when I was reading the Wikipedia article about Wikipedia, I really tagged onto that idea of community and how everybody sits, and it really delves into this idea that this encyclopedia is created by the people, for the people, with the people, all of those kinds of things, and it ran true to that garden idea. So my show takes place in a giant garden where it's pretty much a series of installations where, as an audience member, you go around this garden and you are led through it by the creator of this garden, based very much on this idea of the creator of Wikipedia, who sat down and went, let's create this thing. And you go into people's different types of gardens, and you are very much left to free reign of what kind of story you want to encounter. So you've got the story of the gardener, you've got the story of somebody sitting there with deep facts about plants and deep facts about bugs. But there are all these different people that you can encounter. And you go around and you do that, and you enjoy the garden, and it's very interactive. But then what you can also do is, you as an audience member can sit and create your own garden. So there are empty spaces, there are these mini gardens within the large giant garden. And you can turn around, and if you've got a story to tell, you can then slot yourself into this installation, which we may turn around and think, the audience will never do that. But there was a show that we did a few years ago where it was interactive, and I tried to start speaking a poem, and one woman turned around and went, no, you've given me the opportunity to talk, and now I'm going to spend the next 20 minutes, despite as much as you're trying to shut me up, telling you my life story. So there are people out there who desperately want a platform. And so this experience is very much, you've got different stories and different people that you encounter, but you yourself can also form and put yourself into the installation for that time that you're there as well. So I kind of embodied Wikipedia and shoved it in a garden.
So it's the Chelsea Flower Show, but with performers.
Yeah.
Instead of flowers.
Pretty much, yeah. There can be flowers too. Yeah.
Well, yeah, because it's a garden. That's a beautiful. It's a beautiful idea, Gemma.
Thank you.
You've took what the internet should be, and you've turned it into a garden. You've took that metaphor that guy thought, and you were like, you know what? Let's just make it. What's a garden? Some seeds. We can do it.
And you've made it less like what the internet actually is, which is that garden would be full of people wanking.
Yeah.
Wow.
I've also gotten really into gardening, and so I've taken up watching. A friend of mine has started a plant vlog, which I genuinely am enjoying. So
Plant vlog.
A plant vlog. She vlogs about plants and how to take care of plants and the different types of plants, and I'm genuinely enjoying it. I don't know. Don't ask me. But it's.
Have you got Netflix? I'm just seeing what your options are, Gemma.
I know. I'm
right?
binging Netflix. I'm binging books. I'm taking up art, but I'm
Can
also
you
taking
binge
up.
a book?
Yes, you can. You can sit down and read the whole thing in one day.
Isn't that just called reading?
That's a question for another podcast.
That's for when we get the Wikipedia page about reading.
You know when you're watching Netflix and it says like you've watched like 5 episodes of Impractical Jokers or The Floor is Lava, and you know when it says, "Do you wish to continue?" Do you go no and go, "Because I'm gonna go have a look at my friend's flower vlog, and see how the sunflowers are doing"?
No, because she hasn't put out that much yet. But I'm really enjoying what she's done, and it's got me really into the plant vibe.
It's because she's got Netflix. She's too busy.
Yeah, obviously, I assume we all react the same way when that "do you wish to continue" thing comes up, which is to shout at your TV, "Yes, I do. Don't patronise me, Netflix."
No. I do. I've gotten really into my gardening, and actually, I was watching TV. I was watching Good Omens, and I was like, oh, Aziraphale, he loves bookshops, but he also would like a garden, and I got really just. I like the idea of a garden, and so when I was sitting there reading the about page about Wikipedia, and I was like, oh, garden idea, and I was like, oh, that's a bit tangential, and then my brain started obsessing about it, and that's the point of theatre and art and creating, is that you can focus on the thing that you're obsessing about for a bit, and be like, you know what, I'm doing an installation performance that's interactive, and you could take it over if you want, but it's in a garden, and I like flowers.
No, we like it. That's why we're being mean about something else, because we don't want to touch your idea. It's good. Do you have any ideas of where you're going to do it? So, like last week, me and Joe made the effort of actually like finding places, and then you didn't. Did you manage to find a garden? Where would be a nice garden?
I would love to do it in somewhere like the Pergola in Hampstead Heath. Or, I mean, I don't really want to do it in somewhere like Kew Gardens. I don't want it to be something that's too set in that way. But there's also this place called Springhead that is in the southwest of England. I think it's in the southwest, where it's like stepping into a Jane Austen novel, but then there's this huge garden and a lake and various different things, and they do lots of excursions with sixth formers for creative writing for a reason, because it's an incredibly inspiring, beautiful place in the country. So either Springhead or the Pergola in Hampstead Heath. I did think about it.
Yeah, you came prepared this week, Gemma.
I did.
You were like, I ain't gonna mess around with Joe and Sean this week. I've got answers for their
I've got
silliness.
answers. I've got answers, and I've got gardens.
I like that. I like it's there. Like it's very you. It's very you. It's very.
Sorry, can we take a moment to appreciate Sean's being like, find a compliment for it. It's there.
It's there. It exists.
It was a pitch.
I meant
You
more.
said
I meant
all
more.
the words you meant to say in the right order. Well done, Jem.
Joe, I'm trying. I'm trying to make content. No, what I meant was it's all there, as like, it's not just like bits of a jigsaw. All the pieces are there, and it's a good idea.
And this,
all right.
The meta part of the performance is that the idea came from this podcast, and one of the installations is Sean just weeping in a corner, shouting over and over again, "I'm just trying to make content."
I'm just trying to be nice, Joe.
I do have one suggestion to make, which is we keep with your biggest running theme, and can one of the installations be you fighting a hose while shouting "the water is evil"?
Yes, because
Why do we stop referencing that episode?
You keep right. It's one of your running jokes. I just happened to have a nervous breakdown pitching, and then ended up with "the water is evil." But true to every production I've ever worked on, there comes a point in every run that is more than like 2-3 days where the producer or somebody has a bit of a breakdown and needs to have a little bit of a moment. So yeah, for that moment there'll be a special incarnation of the show where the producer and or me is sat in the corner fighting the evil water in a hose.
Okay. Can I just two things? We've done shows at Edinburgh that have like been on for like longer than like 2 weeks. When were those moments in Edinburgh? Was I just like completely just not with it, just like chilling with a bacon sandwich while it was all just like falling apart around me or something?
I have a special place in Edinburgh that nobody knows about. That I go to in order to avoid these moments and or go and sit and just burn to a crisp in the sun.
It's that bagel place.
It's not the bagel place.
It's
but
not
often,
Elephant and Bagels.
Often I do go to Elephant and Bagels, get a bagel, and then go to my special place.
Oh, is it that park next to it then?
No.
One where the
Is
pigeons...
it what we were just discussing about? By your special place, do you mean you have a bagel and a wank?
No, because everybody in Edinburgh knows that there's no such thing as private time.
No, you can't. My special place in Edinburgh is that potato shop.
Oh my goodness, the potato.
You know what I'm saying?
Ah, the baked potato.
You know what I'm saying?
I have to say, the pie shop is one of my favourite. That's the first thing I do when I get to Edinburgh is I beeline towards the pie shop.
They were on the news today.
What?
Because I was
What,
writing
pie
this.
maker were?
Yeah, I was writing up my notes for this other thing, and I put the news on just so I had something on the background. And then they was doing a story in Edinburgh and they were like, "Oh, there's no one here. There should be people here." And the pie person was like, "Yeah, normally we have like 50 people, but during the Edinburgh Festival, we normally have like 1,000 people a day." And now we've just got 50 people a day. And to be fair, she's very calm about it.
Well,
And I was getting emotional. I was like, "Oh, I want a pie. I'll go there."
I tell you what,
I just want a tatty
I
dog.
can do without theatre, but I cannot do without mac and cheese pie.
I have to say, I did for the very first time last Christmas. I went to Edinburgh without it being the Fringe. I'd only ever gone during the Fringe, and I went at Christmas time for a day, and I beelined to the pie shop. So I feel like because I had 2 pie shop experiences last year, I'm not too at a loss for it not happening this year.
Yeah. I like how we're all glossing over the fact that on a theatre-based podcast, I just said the phrase, "I can do without theatre."
It's you though, ain't it? It's you.
Yeah,
we were
it's
thinking
me.
about food.
Yeah, we were talking about the food. Let's be honest.
Yeah,
The food
and
in Edinburgh gets us through the Fringe.
And before we start getting onto the topic of Mosque Kitchen, I'm just going to suggest, shall I do my pitch?
Yes.
I've never eaten in Moss Kitchen. I go to the KFC over the road.
It does.
And this is all the good content you were looking for, isn't it, people at home?
This is what people are wanting to
This
know.
is what they come for. They don't come for the actual premise of the show. They come for the banter in
But
between
here's the
pitches.
thing.
They come for the extended tangents about all our favourite places to eat in Edinburgh.
Which is actually relevant, because when everybody who listens to this podcast goes to the Edinburgh Fringe, they can sit there and they'll pass the pie shop and they'll be like, "I need to get a tatty dog," because that one time the Theatre Pitch podcast completely derailed itself because everybody needed a pie.
It's either that or they'll be like, "Oh, this is that street where Vision got stabbed in that film." Oh.
Yeah. And there's definitely not huge signs saying that because point of interest for tourism. Joe, your pitch.
So my pitch is for once, and this is going to shock you, I'm actually going to theoretically pitch a straight play based on the article and the information contained within it.
Okay.
Is this going to be like a Russian doll where it's a straight play, like proper, but then when you open it up, it's really about socialism?
It's not actually about socialism for once. I thought for mine, what I want to explore are notions surrounding storytelling and the unreliable narrator.
Okay.
So, if we look at the About section and we go to the history, it details how Wikipedia itself came to be from the ashes of a failed project called Newpedia, where the aim was that they were going to provide these articles based on a complicated system of peer reviews and expert creation of the articles. But the problem was, that's why it's Wikipedia coming from Quick Encyclopedia, because this process took too long and was too cost heavy for a free online encyclopedia. Yeah. So they went for this new system of giving quick, usually accurate information. And so what I want to do is I want to actually detail the creation of this Wikipedia, but... Okay. And it's a fun one. The early sections, when it's covering the creation of Newpedia, are delivered as a straight play. Once Wikipedia is up and running, various audience members will have been given the opportunity to download an app which will allow them to edit the script.
Oh, that's...
Oh, I'm in.
Oh, that's a nightmare. I love it.
So there will be bonuses if they can spot the factual errors that have been left in the script. But also, they can just mess with it. They can change lines. They can do what they want. And people have to follow the script to the wording of what is written for them.
So is it a script in hand performance?
The script will all be delivered via a series of tablets that are linked up to the app.
Okay.
So
well, the script could be on like a Google Drive document.
I will say there will be a moderator on hand to make sure that no one has to, for instance, say the N-word.
Or
just...
the script... Well, would you allow the script to be deleted entirely and just replaced with pictures of cats?
Yes.
I like it.
I would.
I'm sorry.
The only thing
he was like, right, we're going to make sure no one says the N-word. And you were like, can I just check I can have pictures of cats, though?
Yeah, but essentially,
important.
this keeps going on. There are various points in the play where if it starts to get too derailed, there will be planned points where the script is then locked again so that it avoids disruptive behaviour, as is covered in the article.
Yes.
And so we actually follow the process of an article creation alongside the process of creating in the Wikipedia and having a completely anarchic show that could end up derailing into people trying to build a script around pictures of cats.
This is like my favourite improv game where somebody does a scene and the audience members shout either do it again or...
Like, is it a new choice? New option? New
choice. And then the performer has to re-say what they did, but they have to choose something else.
We in the improv community know it better as change.
Change. I love it. I love it because you force people to think.
Yeah. And if you're wondering on this week's regional theatre highlighting, it will be performed in its debut at the Nottingham Playhouse, which is a lovely theatre.
I fell asleep in that theatre once.
Oh, what were you seeing?
I was watching...
You can't remember, he was asleep.
What's the... It was a Stephen Berkoff production of Oedipus.
Oh, okay.
I really wanted to see that. I think I did.
To be fair, as soon as you said Stephen Berkoff,
yeah,
I thought, fair enough, I can understand why you fell asleep.
It was, I know. And I don't care, I'm going to say this. It was a sixth form trip, and it may have been in my later years in sixth form where I had turned 18. So we get to Nottingham. So Nottingham from Birmingham, it's about, I don't know, about an hour in the car, an hour and a half. So we got there quite early, and then because it's sixth formers, you're like, yeah, go on, come back. And I may have come back like drunk.
Yeah.
And then like a Stephen Berkoff like 2-hour play, fell asleep.
It's brilliant, but it's
fell
slow.
asleep.
Yeah.
And like my other people were like telling me, and I was like. And I will say one thing: waking up halfway through Oedipus is really weird. Right, yeah. I like your idea, Joe.
I like the way that on the Theatre Pitch podcast we've said, Joe said, I don't need theatre, and Sean said, I fell asleep during a renowned theatre piece.
Yeah.
Yeah, but renowned doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, it's only Stephen Berkoff. What's he done? What he's appeared in an episode of New Tricks. He was that villain.
He was
in the second Beverly Hills Cop.
When I was in sixth form, I
He's in an episode of Deep Space Nine. Oh my god, no, he is
Are
brilliant.
you on his IMDb
He is
page? Or are you
brilliant.
just
No,
remembering
I've
this?
just completely remembered. Like, I remembered because, again, for the other podcast, I was watching a lot of Star Trek, and I remember watching one, and Stephen Berkoff just turns up with some Ferengis, and I'm like, what's going on here?
Okay, so Joe, back to your idea.
Yeah, so my idea is now it's the filmography of Stephen Berkoff. We cover Rambo 3, I think he's in, Octopussy.
I like that Joe is embodying his show's idea by going, this is the new information that's been injected into the show, therefore...
Joe's idea is really good, because while it might not be about Wikipedia, the show is built with the premise,
concept.
yeah, with how Wikipedia is built itself, and that's I really like it because
I
of
really
that.
like it, and it feels like from a performer's perspective, as well as from any creator's perspective, who's part of that production, it feels like something where you actually have to stay awake for. You have to really be working, and I like anything that makes me genuinely work on stage.
And you could make some merch out of that if you do a festival, and you can make a book where the first chapter of the book, the first bit of the book is like the actual script, and then you just have the script again in the book each night and how it's been changed. There you go.
Yeah.
Bringing in the money for your next festival show. That's what it is.
There you go. Producer brain engaged.
I do intend to, with this, kind of a running theme with our productions, but I'm thinking, seeing if we can hire a wide cast of multilingual actors, so that should someone want to start writing in another language, we can begin to adapt.
I like it. I genuinely thought when you thought that was when you said that what's becoming a theme in our pitches, I thought you were going to pitch scaffolding again.
Yeah, I thought scaffolding was coming.
I mean, come on, have you seen the Nottingham Playhouse? It would not work with scaffolding in that environment. It's too ornate.
Exactly.
And if anything, the theme is that me and Joe refuse to use scaffolding. I feel like at no point have we ever been positive about the use of scaffolding in shows.
I think if anything, the scaffolding has been a running joke about where we do not go.
Yeah.
Okay, so is that your idea in its totality?
My idea in its totality is a biographical play about Wikipedia that also can be derailed by audience editing.
I love it. Okay,
And you
moving
could,
on.
you
Sean.
could read. Give me a second. It could really work as well, because if you have the script on a Google Word document, and you give everyone the link, but it's a link, it's an edible link, they can edit it at the same time. You know how like we've done documents where like we've opened it and Gemma's typed stuff and you've typed stuff, and I've just gone, yeah, that's good. It could really work, and it won't be that tech. Even though it sounds like it will be tech heavy, it really won't be, because you can do them things on. You can do that on your phone, and as long as your performers have got a tablet, and we make sure we charge it, like that'll be the only like problem.
Connection.
Yeah, I feel like it could.
Which we did find was not possible. That one time we needed internet for a show.
If you're in a venue and they know, I think it's brilliant idea, Joe. I might have to cut all yours out in case, because it's that good. I think it's that.
This is the second time.
Yeah. So it's gonna go from the podcast is gonna go from Gemma talking about gardens, and you can be like, "Oh, Joe, what's your idea?" And there's just like nothing, and then we go below, and then it's two. Okay, guys, my idea is.
Wait, it's okay. I'll give you a clean edit for it. Sean, just ask me the question.
I don't know what the question.
So, Joe, what's your idea this week?
Oh, my bad. Hey, Joe. So what's your idea?
Remake Rambo Part 2.
But we use the mascots of Wikipedia.
Yeah, it's Rambo Part 2, but Rambo is played by the Wikipedia Globe.
Yeah.
Okay, we're reeling this back in. Sure.
There we go. You've got a clean edit.
Got it. Hey, Jem.
Hi, Sean.
So
it's finally time for you to let us know what your idea is.
Before we get, let me just set the scene. Before we were talking about this podcast, I was just like, oh, and it just came to me one day, and I was like, oh, that would be a really good improv show. And then we get this one, and I was there like, oh, I've done this already, so easy week. So you know when you go to the Edinburgh Fringe, and you think what's one of the like common shows that you see there? It's improv. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were going to say one-man shows about depression that claim to be comedy.
No, and
I feel
improv.
attacked, Joe.
So the most of the shows we see, like let's say 90% of the improv shows are long form improv that lasts about 50 minutes, and they've got some sort of gimmick that helps them pick the theme of the improv performance. Yeah, you get somewhere it's short form games, but on the whole it's long form. So if we talk, so some examples, Baby Wants Candy is long form musical improv where they get the suggestions and they make it. Ostentatious is they get the suggestions from the audience and they make a 50 minutes Jane Austen performance. So mine is my gimmick is it's a long form improv that's going to last about 50 minutes. Joe, if you like the idea, you can have it because I know you're an improv man. And the way we get the suggestions from the audience is we use the Wikipedia game 6 Degrees of Wikipedia. Now, do you know it?
For our audience and listeners, tell us briefly what the 6 Degrees of Wikipedia is.
So it is, basically, you take 2 words. So we'll go with Deadpool and Las Vegas. And the whole idea is you go to Deadpool on Wikipedia. Boom. If only I had Deadpool set up. And then through the Wikipedia articles, as you know, there's links to other words. So at the minute, I'm on the 6 Degrees of Wikipedia. So if I wanted to go down, one of the links is Japan. So I'll click Japan. And it will take me to Japan. And the aim of the game is you get from Deadpool to Las Vegas via 6 links or less. Yep.
Okay, yeah.
And the aim of my show is the audience say 2 suggestions, and they can be anything, but let's lead them to like good stuff. So, for instance, the one says Deadpool, the one says Las Vegas. Then we give Wikipedia to an audience member.
Okay.
And they have to do their best getting from Deadpool to Las Vegas, and each of their choices is a scene. So we start off with the first suggestion and we go to Japan. So the first scene in the improv has to have something to do with Japan in. The next one, so I'll just go on to Japan. And Japan, it's got Pacific Ocean. So your next scene has to be related around Pacific Ocean. Mm-hmm. And we get to either Las Vegas or not Las Vegas. So that's the last scene. Either we get there or we don't get there. And that's the premise of the show. It's a long form improv. And the gimmick is we use the 6 Degrees of Wikipedia game to get the suggestions from the audience. Boom. And then we stand at the back with a bucket and say, please give us stuff so we can go buy pizza at the end.
Yeah. Okay.
Joe, as the improv man, would you do it?
I mean, I could see it working. It is one that, once again, I think it's one that heavily relies on the audience being able to come up with interesting suggestions and not just going for the standard ones of just being like Kevin Bacon.
Hamster.
Well, you can go Kevin Bacon. There's a version of the Kevin. There's a version of it called We Tried to Get to Kevin Bacon.
That's why I was thinking.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can see how it could work. So you said you were thinking more long form, not kind of doing it as using the individual things for short form sketches. Yeah.
Well, it would be. Well, you could do that, but I quite like the idea of it being a journey.
Yeah, I like the challenge of it having to be long form and having to connect.
Yeah. And just checking, it's using only the kind of... Is it improv using a quick scan of the Wikipedia pages or just the words?
Just the word. The word inspires. Okay. So hopefully you'll end up with a maximum of 8 words. Because it'll be the 2 words you started with and then the 6 links. You may have less. They may get it straight away or like... But yeah... So you're using a long form, and then you're gathering more tools to use.
I think it could really work and be a really fun show. I like it. Because the one thing that I struggle with long form improv is that unless it's really, really good, it starts to ramble and it starts to not have structure and it gets really boring. Because, you just keep going back to this room with a dad and his daughter not really talking to each other. And it's a boring... Yeah, I've seen this.
Sorry, Jem, we're not on about your trips home. We're on about improv.
Well, okay. I've seen that improv show, and I've seen that improv show several times, which is why you guys know me. When you put improv on our let's go see this schedule for the day, I repel away like Dracula at the sunlight. You know, but I like this because it gives that kind of structure and energy that short form does, but to long form. I like it.
Thank you. Look at us doing like actual stuff we could actually do.
I was just thinking, Sean, was it just a coincidence that we got off the topic of or somehow found a way from Jem's pitch into discussing the foods of Edinburgh when yours is also your pitch for a Fringe show effectively again? Is this just your way of coping with the fact that there isn't a Fringe?
Yeah, just got to try and talk about it as much as possible.
We don't talk about it, Joe.
Hey Jem, you can't bottle that up. You got to let it out. You got to talk about it.
Yeah.
But then I really need a pie. I really want pie. I'm so hungry.
Then make a pie.
I'm sure there's a Greg's in London.
Somewhere. But it's not going to be Pie Maker, is it? Anyway, okay. So, we have got my show in a garden, or it's an interactive installation in a garden about community. We got Joe's show, which is the manifestation of a Wikipedia process where the audience edit the script, and Sean's long-form improv that is dictated by the 6 Degrees of Wikipedia game. How do we smush these together?
Gemma, just before we start this, I think you're really good at summing up them shows.
Thank you.
I thought, you know, I just thought then, like, oh, she's really getting the hang of this.
Thank you. We're being really nice to each other this episode.
Yeah, I was getting suspicious of it.
I'm wondering, what do you want,
I'm in a
Sean?
good mood, guys. I'm in a good mood. What can I say?
What does it say, Jem, that both of us have the same reaction, which is Sean's being nice?
No, it's just
I don't trust this.
All of us are being nice to each other. It's pleasant. And what's going on?
Turned a new leaf. We've got to double digits in the podcast, and we're like, you know what? If we want this to carry on, we have to stay friends.
We have to stay friends.
So that's what we're trying to do. I'm trying to make sure we stay friends and we come together like Ultron, and we come together like Ultron and create one great podcast.
Agreed.
Like
do you mean Voltron?
Ultron did. Yep, Ultron's got a podcast now, and it's really good.
No, I was saying, do you not mean like the robot Voltron?
Ultron.
Do you not mean
Ultron's
Ultron
Marvel?
wanted to
we all
kill
come
everything.
together like Ultron, who tried to tear everything apart.
Yep.
That
Thanks,
in
Joe.
its way summarizes our friendship.
Yeah, I was trying to be nice, and then I compared us all to a robot that kills everyone.
Yeah, you know what, guys? I really feel we should come together like Thanos.
Yeah. It's just the Freud.
we should come together like the Infinity Gauntlet and then kill half of everybody.
We should come together like
But
Life
do it
Entity.
as a team.
And if you haven't listened to the Life Entity episode of the Theatre Pitch podcast, go back and listen to it right now.
There you go.
Oh, this guy.
Cross-promoting.
Well, not right now.
No,
at
at the end of the
episode.
podcast. Listen to
No, we
this.
can wait. We can wait.
Yeah, it's okay. We'll wait.
Yeah, we'll wait. Right, welcome back from listening.
Assuming you've listened.
Welcome back to the last bit of the podcast where we will smush them all together.
Yes.
Go,
So-
Jem.
Smushing them all together. So, has anybody got ideas? Because I think I've got one that's a little bit very weird.
Well, I was mostly letting that bit be dragged out to see if I could think of an idea, and no. So,
Okay.
unless Sean has one, go ahead. Sean?
I was dragging it out so you two could come up with an idea.
Fair enough.
Fair enough.
Jem, go ahead.
This is teamwork. This is our friendship in progress.
Yeah.
So, my thought is there seems to be a lot of interaction, and in your two pitches, it's heavily reliant on the idea of using media and using the internet kind of thing. So there's that gardening game, isn't there? Or like it's like where it's like Minecraft, but it's not Minecraft, where people build little farms and villages and.
Okay, I'm just going to run
Farmville?
down a few that I think you might know about. Yeah,
Is it that
Farmville.
island one with the animals?
I was about to say, it could either be Farmville, Terraria,
The one on the
maybe,
Switch? What's the one on the Switch?
maybe Harvest Moon,
Any of these games, including Minecraft, I feel
Stardew
like
Valley,
we may have struck upon a
Farming
we
Simulator.
may have struck upon a performance that we can do in lockdown and or despite the don't put theatre on that we've been told. So my thought was,
Do you want to do improv over Minecraft? Is that what you're saying?
yeah, I'm thinking improv
Okay.
over Minecraft. But then also, the audience can change everything. I don't know. I was trying to figure out a way to digitize a garden, and I came up with Minecraft and or Farmville and or any of the ones that you've mentioned, and that is how far I got.
Well, I was going to say that actually this isn't necessarily the worst plan, because I have seen things like kind of graduations and proms and that kind of thing taking place over Minecraft and Animal Crossing and other such
Animal
games.
Crossing, that's the one I was thinking of.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
The one on the Switch. It's on the Switch.
There you go.
Yeah.
Is it? I was half right.
There you go.
But yeah, there is possibly a route for doing this, because the issue that we're presented with here is I think Animal Crossing has a maximum of maybe 4 people, I think, is to a server.
So that's the fringe average.
Which, well, that's including performers.
Oh.
So the fringe average.
I mean, that's why I know that people are starting to do like concerts and stuff in Minecraft. And
Yeah.
Minecraft is probably the best way to go about it, and we can build a beautiful garden in Minecraft.
And also, we can give some people access to destroying that beautiful garden every night.
Yeah, I think what we can do is we can sit there and we can go, okay, here's a garden, and there is the 6 degrees long form improv happening, that is happening as a piece of entertainment, but that is also reacting to that people can edit the they can edit the garden, they can edit the so they can sit there and go, I'm just going to set this thing on fire, or here's a ship, or whatever it may be, and they can change the environment so that the performers have to respond to the change in environment. Because if they've been given by the 6 degrees of Wikipedia idea, if they've been given Shaolin monks, but then their environment turns into a pirate ship, how do you smoosh those two ideas together to keep it coherent? It's hellish for these performers because they can't even use their bodies. They have to use their voices and their thumbs. But it could be very interesting.
Can I make a suggestion?
Yes.
So, here's another pitch to smush them all together.
Uh-huh.
We have a series, so like every night or every evening, we have one person live stream on Twitch from their garden.
Ooh.
And the start of the stream is the people involved in the stream vote on two. So they make 2 words are suggested, and everyone on the stream votes for the words. And then we pick the 2 words, and then everyone on the stream does it. So have you ever seen on Twitch they tried to do Pokemon Go? Twitch plays Pokemon, but they've done it like through you had to vote which button was pressed next.
Yeah.
So like the thousands of people voted let's press A. So could we have like the 5 people watching our stream, they vote we go this link or we go that link or we go that link. So then they do my bit and the audience are involved. So they do my bit by doing Joe's bit because it's done via the audience through tech, and then that's they get the words, and then in the back garden the people, the performers, live stream a performance using them words from the gardens, and every night it's a different group of people from their garden. So then by the end, say we do it 12 times, we have 12 different gardens and 12 different performances, all created via Wikipedia, via the audience.
Yes. And then the cacophony at the end, the final performance is how do you link all of these performances together?
I mean, we've showed it's really difficult.
Yes.
With 3.
Okay.
So have I had another
really
good
like
idea?
That. I really like that. I like the way that Sean was like, well, leave this one to Joe and Jem. And then he comes out with the idea.
Yeah, I just need,
I
need
he's
more
like,
time.
Jem, I've heard you had an idea. What about if we did something that's not that, but is also good?
Yes. I think...
No, I needed to listen to Jem's idea because Jem planted the seed in the garden. I just watered it.
Oh, fun with friends. Okay, all right. So we're gonna go to our list of things that we need to fill in and have to make a theatre show.
This is. I won't lie to you. This is the one bit of the podcast. Like, if Joe, if you and me ever done it on our own, I'd throw the list out. Just so you know.
Oh, the list would have gone episode 2.
I mean, basically, most of it is the story is made up and improvised.
Yes.
The set and stage it's a garden, and the
It's
stage
everyone's garden.
It's everyone's garden, but it's on Twitch. Cast
on Twitch.
is whomever we can get on the day, and the other requirements are the internet.
People to watch.
And people to watch.
Oh, you know what's really bad about this idea? What if no one watches?
Then you just
We'll just
around
get Joe.
and
We'll
you
have to
create
get
a
Joe's
podcast.
mum to just like.
Then we sit
pick
in a garden
for
and
us.
get drunk.
There you go. Joe's got it.
I think this week we've actually got 4 really good.
really
No, 5. Let's throw the Minecraft one in as well.
Yeah.
5 really good ideas, and you know what? Who thought we could do it? Like,
And to be honest, I'm like,
some weeks we manage 1.
are we going to actually release this podcast?
What, are you worried that there's too many good ideas in here?
Yeah. Well, no, I think
Okay,
everybody
so
who's listening...
the important thing is that we acknowledge that as long as we've got a few weeks to do this, we have time to claim the intellectual copyright on these ideas.
I mean,
so
what we
we're
also
safe.
need to do is get everyone who's listening to vote on which one they want to see first. Yeah, so if you're listening, pop down in the comments. Tweet
you know what I
us.
just realised I haven't done?
What?
We're talking about people listening.
Uh-huh.
I completely forgot what I haven't done. I've got to do a shout out.
Okay.
Oh my god, I completely forgot. Before we finish,
Before we finish.
So it turns out that our biggest fan and the person who watches like this religiously now is my 3-year-old nephew.
Oh.
Who, for some reason, he gets bored of Dino Trucks and he's like, you know what? Let's put Sean's podcast in. And I've agreed to do a shout out to Roman.
Hi,
That's
Roman.
his name. Hi, everyone say hello to Roman.
Hi, Roman.
Roman.
Don't repeat the word I kept saying this episode.
I know.
Don't repeat any of the words I say.
Don't worry, he grasses me up all the time for swearing, so he hears it. So I said I'll do a shout out on the condition that he stops bullying me and, you know, being a grass. So that's that.
Ronan.
And it turns out, according to my sister, it turns out whenever you two are talking, he turns to my sister and he's like, when's Sean gonna start talking again? And
That's
he thinks,
just favoritism, right there.
And he loses it because every time I say like Gemma, right, he loses it because he thinks I'm talking to my sister because my sister's called Gemma, so he thinks like I'm just like through the screen like, hey Gemma.
Oh wow! Saying
So,
that, I was listening to one of the old podcasts the other day in my office just because I was like, I need something to listen to.
I know this story.
I needed something to listen to that I didn't like want to have to distract from my attention because I was like, well, I'll pick one that I know what happens, which is this podcast.
Hang on,
And
what do
there
you
was
mean you know that
genuinely
happens?
There was genuinely a moment where Sean turned around and said, Gemma, and I, out loud in my office, was like, what, Sean? And everyone in my office turned to be like, are you all right? And I was like, yeah, I was just...
It's a gripping podcast.
You didn't explain to them, oh no, I was just listening to a podcast I'm on.
That I'm on, because my ego is that big. I needed the affirmation that my life was going somewhere, so I'm going to listen to my own podcast today. No, I literally, Sean has this tone that sometimes he'll take by saying my name, and it's to get my attention, and he got my attention, and it was just this weird moment where I never questioned why Sean was suddenly in the room with me. I questioned first why I answered him twice without actually physically answering him twice. And then came the thought of, wait, why is Sean here?
And then also, why didn't he respond back when you said what?
He did, oddly. It was weird and uncanny. And there was this moment where I was like, what is going on? And I need to sleep and stop doing this. So, hi Roman. I understand your plight, dude.
Also, we're sorry that all of that bit was Jem and not Sean talking.
Just to spite Sean. Because I like bullying Sean too. It's how we show affection.
He robs me now. I tell you now. Well, I'm just gonna get it out there. You know what? I'm gonna throw my dirty laundry out. I am.
Grass up a 3-year-old, Sean. Go for it.
He started because, like, obviously, you know, box toys. You know what I mean? I've had to explain to him that yes, these are toys, but they don't come out their box.
Which is.
And he's like, you know, and he's saying to me, like, you know, next week if I come round, can we take them out the box? I'm like, no. But now he's just, as he's leaving, he's like, I'm gonna have that next week, or I'm gonna have that next week. So he is like robbing books, robbing toys, robbing pictures. Just has it now. Just seems to think my room's a toy shop.
Oh wow!
Just getting it out there.
I mean, I feel like if he's directly stating it before it's that as, you know, he's giving you a week's notice, it's hardly stealing.
Yeah, that's
you do have the time to hide it
permission.
or put it on a high shelf.
No, I don't know honestly what I'm doing now. If I want to get rid of some tat, if he goes, oh, can I have that?
Wait,
like, no,
I will point out you're about to admit how you're covering this.
Yeah, well, what? He's free. He ain't gonna work. He's listening to me, but he's probably just thinking like, oh, there's Sean on my tablet. If I've got like some tat, I'm just gonna be like, oh, why don't you have that? And he's like, yeah, cool. Up to the point where the other week he had a book that was like basically the size of him. I was like, yeah, go on, bye. So now my sister knows why she's had to take that massive book home.
What was
Right,
the book
guys.
of interest?
It was something about Batman, but it was one of them big ones that people get you for Christmas that you don't want because it's not the same size, and they're massive.
And you've got massive OCD.
On the basis of that, a sixth pitch for the episode. There's something about Batman. It's just there's something about Mary, but with Batman instead of Mary.
Okay,
What
guys.
does he stick his fringe up with? Sean, what's next
with
week's
his bat
article?
jowl. Hi guys, back to the podcast. It's always me, innit? It's always me that derails the podcast. I'm sorry.
We always
Right,
get too
guys.
freaked out if I do it, and Joe, we
Yeah,
monitor the kind of rant that Joe can
We're
go
tense. We're tense when Joe derails something, aren't we?
Yeah. It's a
Well,
superpower.
I'm there thinking. I need edit points. Right, guys. So while I go onto Wikipedia that I was already on for the Wikipedia game, let's talk about socials. You can follow OFIT Productions on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram, on YouTube, and if you go onto any of them, you'll find the link tree. Which Gemma set up, and just press that, and you can go to this podcast. Next week's article
Oh,
is
wait, Sean hasn't even gone to plug us as
Oh,
individuals.
oh.
Yeah, we haven't even covered the fact that you can find me online at Not Joe Ronchka. That's NOTJOERACZKA.
Exactly, and you can find me at OFITD_Gem with a J, Jem.
And you can find Sean at Still Shawnee B.
Yeah. See, that's what happens, Sean. We rob you of your point. We're pulling a Roman and we're robbing you of your moments.
give me.
And if you want to find him on his other podcast, you can find it on the Cannon Fodder podcast with Joe and Joe whenever that's released.
Hey. But before we do that, Sean, what's the next article gonna be? Segway.
Noah Kill.
What?
Noah Kill is a village in outer East London.
Okay.
Yep.
I could go visit.
You could. The dialing code is 01708. Yes. It's...
Oh, well, now I've got so many ideas.
Oh, there's a history.
Okay. So-
Geography. There's transport. It's covered by the London bus route of 256.
Sean is feeling locked down so bad he wants to travel to outer East London for a holiday. He's tourist spotting right now.
It's right on. It's right on the edge of London. It's like right next to the M. Is it the M25 that goes around London?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's right next to that. So when it says London, it's not really London.
It's everything within the M25 is strictly London, apparently. Okay, so while Sean keeps on tourist hopping, thank you everybody for listening. I've definitely enjoyed this podcast, and you know where to find us. You know how to follow us so that you don't miss any moments.
Everyone
like
knows how to
this.
find us because I've done such a good job of the social media plugin. You're welcome.
Exactly. So everybody be like Roman and listen to every episode and tell us who your favourite is and who you want to hear the most of. I mean, it's probably me. Definitely not Sean. Nah.
Oh, should we? I've just realised. Right, because this episode wasn't. Oh no, I've just checked. It's an hour long. I'll save it for next week.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, save it for next week, Sean. Wow. So, next week we'll get whatever Sean's just had the idea of, and we will get a few new shows based around a village in the outer East London. But thank you guys so much for listening. I've been Jem, this has been Joe.
Bye.
This is Sean.
Bye.
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 Bye.